powerful running game. Nate Solder is a good player, paying him $15 million, but he is not a good run blocker. He's an adequate run blocker, very good pass protector, big guy, very, very athletic, but he's still limited, even at that price tag. So I expect them to have some huge problems from an offensive line standpoint. And if you can't block people, no matter who you got on the outside, you can't run the ball on a regular. If you can't dictate, it's starting to get cold. You can't dictate when we're going to run, it becomes a problem. Until they prove that to me, I just think they'll be a middle-of-the-pack offense.
So you think the offensive line is far worse than I do. I think the right side, the right tackle position.
No, I know the offensive line. I'm not guessing about that.
Then you know something about Nate Solder. They don't, because they don't think Nate Solder's a middle-of-the-line blocker. Go ahead.
I've been analyzing Nate for a long time. Tom Brady's got one of the quickest releases in the game. Nate Solder is not a dominant left tackle. He's a good left tackle. He is not a great run blocker. That's just who he is. It's not my fault. He's just on the Giants. We're analyzing the Giants, and he happens to be their tackle.
Right, but they I think, understandably, are expecting more from him. And their skill position guys, there's only a handful of teams that can look eye to eye with them skill position-wise. The Saints can, the Steelers can, the Chiefs can, the Rams can, and that's about the list as far as running back, wide receiver, tight end, secondary wide receiver in the Steelers' case. They have all the weaponry you'd like. See, I look at the Giants and say they have one big weakness on offense, the right side of their offensive line. I know you think Eli's still at the very least an average or above average quarterback, and a ton of talent as far as skill position guys. To me, if this team's not a top 10 offense, it's a disappointment with the money they've spent, the draft capital they've spent on offensive guys.
Yeah, there's no problem with you thinking that, but you're giving them a lot of things. You're giving their head coach, who's going to be the head coach and the offensive coordinator. You're saying that he's going to be able to create a plan. We don't know that. He wasn't very successful in Cleveland as a head coach. So why would I just say, oh, Pat Shurmur's going to put it all together? Why would I say that their bust at right tackle is going to be a formidable player? He's not. He's not a good football player.
But that I totally agree with you.
And that's not going to change. It's hard to hide a tackle. You can hide a center, you can hide a guard, but you can't hide a tackle. I know who Nate Solder is a player, regardless of what they spent for him in free agency. It's like Olivier Vernon. When they got him, I knew who he was. He's not a 15-sack-a-year guy, but they're paying him $17 million. He's exactly like Nate Solder. You pay more because you have to go out and get them. So that's who they are, though. That's not my fault. We'll see. If they can prove they can run the ball, their chances of creating man-to-man on the outside and making it easier for Odell, then that will be real. Then they'll have a chance to be a top 10 offense. I think they're going to be around the middle of the pack, and that's not a slight.
All right, let's take a break there. We'll talk about this some more. But coming up, how worried should the Eagles be about Nick Foles' struggles last night? Because that's what he did, struggled. Next on First Things First. The next season.
Oh, they like their running backs at Wisconsin. I don't know when he gets there, he's going to be running behind a great offensive line. Look at that. 98 yards. Look at that, see? A little high school football up in the, what do you call that? Wisconsin football, I don't even know. Rust Belt, pardon me. Look at him go. What up, C?
Good job, Pep.
Pep's not even here today. Oh. This is Ramel Dockery, the former Oregon State receiver. Watch the catch.
Okay, hold on.
Oh!
That's tough to defend.
A little trickery.
I like it. I know it's not useful in a game, C, but that's pretty dope. Come on.
I never saw that before.
Okay. No problem. We're 0 for 2. Let's go. Let's check it out.
That's a good catch.
Come on.
Absolutely. I'm practicing that every day.
CC, might be time for the NBA to adopt your dunk contest recommendation.
Oh, now that's nice right there.
Star dunk from Jordan Kilgan.
We need to. We can see him. NBA weekend. NBA, listen to me. I know you're changing a few rules. We're going to talk about that maybe. All right? Changing a few rules. Look, add this. Open dunk comp. They've gotten fairly close to a deal. It's not important that it's done week number 1 when you know you're close, like you know you're going to have the money. The player has the confidence he can go out there and not be worried about a career-ending injury. So to me, what date it gets done, as long as it gets done the first couple of weeks into the season, it really wouldn't matter to me. There is no big difference in getting it done the last week of the preseason game or getting it done 10 days into the regular season. It's not a do or die situation. What it is, though, is if they're on the same page and the deal is close, then both parties know it. I believe that you can move on without having the deal signed.
So I actually talked to Odell this weekend, and their contract stuff never came up, which says to me, I think he believes this is getting done soon, because in the past, this has been a source of extreme anxiety for him from even a year prematurely when we were with him in Los Angeles or when he had been asked about it prior to this offseason. And I do think it's noteworthy that when you look at the draft class that he's a part of, two of the other best players in that draft class who don't have deals, one of them hasn't even spoken to the coach in Khalil Mack. One of them is threatening not only hold out of preseason games, but regular season games in Aaron Donald. And Odell's done none of those things. Now, those two players had more capital to spend, so to speak, as far as not having off the field incidents. But Donald also held out all of last preseason before showing up, and the Rams forgave his fines. I agree with seeing that there are certain teams. I'll take a team I used to cover, the Houston Texans. They just had a rule. We do not negotiate contracts once the season begins. So if you do not get a new contract prior to the first day of the regular season, you're not getting one until the end of the regular season. If the Giants had a deadline like that, then it'd be a big deal if it gets done here in the next 12 days or whatever. But they don't have that rule. So what this tells me is they're getting this deal done in short order, which was not a sure thing. There was real speculation about whether or not the Giants would let him play out this year, see how he acts. Put the franchise tag on him, see how he acts. Like, they had the ability to control him without any long-term commitment, have a year-to-year control over him for the next 3 seasons. And I know Coach Mangini talked about how that could be attractive for the team. He's getting $9 million this year.
Right.
Now he's probably going to come close to doubling that. It wouldn't have, in my eyes, been the right thing to do with the best player on your football team, but it was an option to him. They're not going that route, which I believe to be best for both parties involved.
All right, so if things are good and Odell's going to be there and he's happy and you're calling him one of the best players on the team, if not the best player, you have Saquon Barkley, who will probably come back from that hamstring snag and be back. How good could this offense be, CC, this year?
That offensive line, I still believe that they can't be a top 10 offense,